Hello, everyone. Well, every passenger needs a mirror for accountability. The reason that is because from the many rides that I once did as a driver, driving for the rideshare applications, though I enjoy talking, I must admit, I appreciate the gift of being able to listen and listen with an open mind and listen to be free of judgment and listen to the client express themselves. Now, through my thousand plus rides and the many, many stories I've heard, some of the stories were a lesson. In fact, all of the stories were a lesson in that sense, or in the sense of something being reiterated to myself. And though I can't speak for the client, in some cases it probably did for the client as well. From hearing these stories, I came away with the thought that every client needs to carry a mirror with them. In fact, I'm not even going to just put it on the client, even the driver. And I don't mean like a literal big ass mirror. No, no. I just mean like most women carry a small mirror, but when I say mirror, I mean in that sense, and I also mean in the sense of looking inward, looking at him or herself, because that was the main culprit in most, not even let me say most, all of the stories that I heard, may be positive or negative, may be facetious, may it be dark, may it be sarcasm. There was a lot of blaming on things externally to the person, you see, and in some instances, there are things that are out of people's control. Even me myself, I'm not above that. The client that sat in the back, no human is above that, no matter their race, sexual orientation, height, where they from on the globe, all of that is irrelevant. Some things are completely out of our control. But what is in our control is being able to look inward and look at ourselves for how we allowed the situation to happen. So it could have been in the case where one of the stories I heard from a client about was going through relationship troubles, or I had a guy got into my car. He was going through some financial troubles. There was a few clients that got in the car. They didn't really like where they worked at, and they wanted to quit. They wanted to leave. There was a few clients that hopped in my children, not excuse me, not children. Had a few clients that hopped in the back of my car talking about their children, and then about the father of their child. Then there were other instances where it was the other way around. It was discussions about not having two parties in the house. I'm gonna just say this or that. And in all those scenarios, I, one thing that was interesting was no individual in none of these stories, from what they shared with me, was like forced. They may have been seduced, they may have been persuaded, but let me refrain from saying that because even in even if you add those on, it's still a choice. And yes, I can. I'm sure some of you are like, well, I have grace. I have grace. I have grace, and this is not even about me. Again, this is about the individuals that do the rideshare apps in any capacity. I'm talking about the driver as well as the client that get their tail in the back seat and share their story. Again, every passenger needs a mirror for accountability because it starts with them. Again, unless someone puts a gun to your head, knock on wood, that never happens. Someone put a knife to your throat, pray to God it never happens. Or somebody, like in some of these shows or movies I watch where they go after the loved ones, where it puts the person in a do you really care for them position. If it was none of those situations, then it was just you wanted to do it. Again, from some of the stories I heard through my miles and miles of driving, being of service to people. Let's take the individuals that the clients that were having relationship issues, right? Him and her decided to be in a relationship together. Relationship. So even if it's working positive or negative, right? Him or her, they can first look at themselves and and it starts the process with that. What could they do better? Where did they go wrong? How could they improve their situation internally with themselves and then with their mate, and vice versa? It's like if I didn't know any better, if I didn't have any critical thinking skills, and if I was one that just did not take accountability, just from listening to everyone, guess what I would have thought? I would have thought I was on one of my favorite shows in the background called Law and Order, where everyone was a damn victim. I need to call Olivia Benson because we have a lot of victims. A lot of victims. But that's not realistic. What is realistic is people do what they want to do 85% of the time, if not more. And when it doesn't work out in their favor, they want to blame the days, the individual, saying they ain't when it's crack up to be, or they're full of it. Well, check this. Let's say that's an accurate statement. And let's say we look at it on a macro level. And I'm not condoning any of those negative traits, right? But what I am saying that since we all got a life to live and life all comes in stages, you have your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and yada, 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 right? If we're really being honest with ourselves, at some point in our lives, we were once those things that we complain about. I can say that. My clients, they could say that too if they were really being honest with themselves. The passengers that got in the back of my vehicle, and once they got done talking, even the clients that was talking about they wish they had two parents in the house. It wasn't just them being a single father, or it wasn't just them being a single mother. If they held that mirror up, and I don't, it could be a literal, literally a mirror, or it could just look inward. They could see that they played a role in it being the way that it transpired. And yes, people can change their mind. I'm not saying that. Yeah, people can have their representative, which is false advertising, but that's a whole nother vehicle. Yes, but even beyond those two things, it still starts with said person. The people in the back, they got in the back and was complaining about their job and how they want to quit. Well, they could have just quit it, right? Or I know if they would have quit it, you would have said, well, one may think, how they gonna pay their bills? That's a good question. A better question, if they were looking inward, would be why did they apply to a job that they couldn't see themselves just doing for a little bit? Did the company force them to apply for that job? I do not think so. Are they held captive like they're hostage? I doubt it. Why won't they leave? Because they have responsibilities. I agree. I can get that. But that should have been said. But again, most passengers and most drivers don't hold that mirror up to themselves. They want to blame things on the outskirts. And like the person that hopped in my car, she was talking about why she was on dialysis. And to her credit, she did not, well, actually, she did. She did blame the doctor because the doctor gave her the wrong medicine. And if that story is accurate, which I don't think she would lie, then wrong on that doctor for giving her the wrong medicine that affected her kidney. But also, what she shared with me was that she was not having the proper diet. And again, when she was talking to me, I just listened to her. But as I look back on it, I'm proud of that passenger because she did not blame anyone outside of the situation where the doctor was held liable. She looked at herself first. And you all that do the rideshare applications in any capacity, as a passenger or as a driver, you let me know. How many times have you all hopped in the vehicle, clients, or the rideshare drivers, and you all have heard people speaking, and you just thought to yourself like, hmm, that was not necessarily the person's fault that you're saying it is, depending on what it is, especially if they had the choice to leave the situation. That's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm too hard. Maybe I'm too difficult. And if so, you all can tell me in the comments. You all can tell me in the comments. I mean, even outside of bride shit, you got people complaining about things that they had control over. That's 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 ridiculous on so many levels. So again, I just want to bring you all this video to let you all know why every passenger needs a mirror for accountability. Feel free to click the link below and go and purchase my book. That book will be able to help you. It will be able to help a family member or a friend. And if not, it can help an enemy. And most likely it'll turn that enemy into an associate, even maybe a friend. And depending on the nature of the relationship, it could turn you all into lovers. So like, share, and subscribe, leave a comment below. I'll definitely respond. And you all have a great day. Peace.